Hi, welcome to Armchair Philosophy. I'm Rubin and today we'll be talking about the trolley problem. The trolley problem probably originates in the year 1905, where it appeared as a question on a questionnaire at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. The trolley problem as we know it today didn't really come into existence until 1967, where it was written about by Philippa Foot, a British philosopher who specialized in virtue ethics and was inspired by Aristotle. It usually goes something like this. You're standing at a lever which switches the direction of an oncoming trolley between one of two tracks. At its current setting, the trolley is set to go down the track to your right, where there are 5 people tied down. The other track, which you can switch it to, has 1 person tied down, but only 1 person as compared to 5. Do you pull the lever? The problem originally put forward by Philippa Foot and published in the Oxford Review goes a little differently. Suppose that a judge or magistrate is faced with rioters demanding that a culprit be found for a certain crime and threatening otherwise to take their own bloody revenge on a particular section of the community. The real culprit being unknown, the judge sees himself as able to prevent the bloodshed only by framing some innocent person and having him executed. Besides this example is placed another in which a pilot whose airplane is about to crash is deciding whether to steer from a more to a less inhabited area. To make the parallel as close as possible, it may rather be supposed that he is the driver of a runaway tram, which he can only steer from one narrow track onto another. 5 men are working on one track, and 1 man on the other. Anyone on the track he enters is bound to be killed. In the case of the riots, the mob has 5 hostages, so that in both examples the exchange is supposed to be 1 man's life for the lives of 5. If you subscribe to utilitarian ethics, the answer to the problem should be obvious to you. You pull the lever so that 1 person dies as opposed to 5. But there are many factors that could make that decision more difficult. For example, what if one of the people is a child and the 5 that are tied down are all extremely elderly? Or what if the 5 are Nazis and the one that's tied down is someone who you deeply care about, like a family member or a close friend? Because of the perceived difference in utility between the different possible victims and the different relationships that they could have to the person answering the question, there are many possible answers that you could give, and many variants have been created. Would You Kill the Fat Man by David Edmonds, which I'd recommend if you're interested in this thought experiment, deals with one of the more popular variations, the Fat Man argument. In the Fat Man problem, you are standing on a bridge and there's an incredibly fat person on the bridge with you. The bridge goes over some trolley tracks and there's a trolley running out of control down the tracks. Unfortunately, there are 5 people tied down to the tracks where the trolley is going. The man on the bridge is fat enough that if you were to push him off of the bridge and cause him to crash into the trolley, it could stop it in its tracks and save the 5 people. But you don't have time to discuss it with him because the trolley is advancing too quickly. Do you push the fat man? In 2005, Peter Singer wrote an article in the Journal of Ethics which demonstrated that most of the time people would be willing to pull the lever, but they wouldn't be willing to push the fat man. Although in both cases you would literally be pushing 1 person to their death in exchange for the lives of 5, in the case of literally pushing someone, most people tend to draw the line. In the case of the classic trolley problem, one possible reason why this might be the case is that pulling the lever only causes the tracks to change. You don't literally kill the person. The person's death is a side effect of you pulling the lever. While realistically there wouldn't be much of a difference between the 2 actions, pushing the fat man is a deliberate act of murder. But it's unlikely that anyone capable of understanding that their action would kill the 1 person wouldn't feel responsible for the death of that 1 person, even if it was to save 5. The other option is not to pull the lever. By not pulling the lever, you're not committing a morally good or morally bad action. It's completely neutral. You've decided that it isn't your moral responsibility to either save or condemn any of these people. But in the problem that was put forward by Philippa Foot, where you are the driver, you don't exactly get that choice. The trolley problem has had some more relevance in modern times. For example, in the era of self-driving cars, programmers have to address the problem of whether to prioritize one life or many lives. In the case of an oncoming crash where 5 pedestrians may be killed, the car will choose to crash, which would possibly kill the people inside of the car instead. We can only speculate on how that'll affect the sales of those self-driving cars and the future discussions about the trolley problem. But that's all for this time. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, give it a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We have a Patreon where you can donate to us in exchange for some nice benefits. And we have a Teespring where we have wacky and fun t-shirts for sale. And if you want to talk to us about anything, you can go on to our website, MilwaukeeAtheist.com, where we have a forum. That's all for now. Bye-bye.